April 4th, 2020, the Zoning Board of Appeals. Sarah, could you take roll for us?
Yes. So Laura Edmonds,
Present.
John Mahoney,
John,
Jessica. Yeah.
Sorry, present.
Jessica Carden,
Present.
Cynthia Dull,
Present.
and then Luke is not here. Becky Walsh,
Present.
and then Richard Caratu.
Present.
okay. It looks like we have a continuation on the agenda for 326 South Avenue, zoning variance upon application of David Rucci, Lambert Tui, and Rucci, authorized agent for David and Karen Johns, owners, for a variance of section 3.5D.1 to allow the applicant to maintain coverage of 2910 square feet, currently 2960, in lieu of 2522 as allowable in the 1/3 acre zone, map M, block 57, lot M6. Mr. Rucci, would you like to start? I think that since Luke isn't here, Rich, you were here last time, right? You were here. Okay.
Yes.
So you'll be seated for Luke.
Okay.
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 Okay, thank you. Good evening. You may recall last month, we had this application on 326 South Avenue, and the main part of it was that through a variety of different surveying errors that occurred during this project, which started somewhere around 2016 and 17. And then when the applicant started to move outside the foundation in 2018, maps were filed that were honestly incorrect. And we were given permission at the time by the former town planner, Steve Kleppen, that we could use the same amount of coverage that we were over coverage at the particular time. Unfortunately, what had happened is we'd given them the wrong coverage number. So the coverage number that we gave them was somewhere around 2,736, when in fact our coverage was about 2,956. And that was due to the surveying error that had occurred at the time. And when we finally figured it out and corrected it, it honestly wasn't until the time that we were looking for a CO on the project. You may recall last month I asked for sort of a two-prong approach of this, where I was asking the board if they, if they agreed with the analysis that we had put this in inaccurately, that they could just allow the town planner to sign off on the particular building permit that was pending in front of her. We discussed a little bit that the board didn't think that they had the authority to do that. And so we moved on to request a variance based on the fact that we had topography issues on the property, and that the property in and of itself had brought up some grade on it, and the amount that we were asking for was actually a reduction in coverage in the end from 2,956 square feet to 2,910. The board at the time, seemed like they were more favorable to granting a variance versus ordering a permit being filed. But on the map that we presented, unlike many of the maps in this particular case, there was a notation on the top of the map that essentially said that the building coverage is 2,910 square feet. And down in the box, the zoning chart box, there was another notation that said it's 2,810 square feet, and I haven't counted 100 square feet of grandfathered coverage. So essentially, the board was saying, listen, this map has to be consistent. It should say 2,910 square feet for the existing coverage, and what we're requesting 2,910 square feet as well. So we went back to the surveyor. He removed that particular reference and put a new reference on the map that indicated that the coverages are accurate at 2,910 square feet. And that was filed with the office somewhere around March 20th or 21st. So that should also be in your file as well.
I can share my screen if that would be helpful. I have the file.
That'd be great, thank you.
Okay.
And that would be the last map that was put in. Like I said, I think it was about March 21st. It should be on the file. There we go, thank you. So if you note on the top left-hand corner where it says area, it shows the 2009, the area is 7,210 square feet. And then it shows down on the bottom, the 2,000 building coverage, 2,910 square feet equals 16.9%. And if you move down to the zoning chart itself, if you could just, thank you, scroll down a little bit. That's perfect, thank you. You'll see, yeah, perfect. You'll see that we revised the map somewhere around, he revised the map sometime around March 9th and removed the notation for the variance as a requirement to make it consistent with the existing and proposed. So the zoning chart essentially was consistent with existing, proposed, and as-built. That in and of itself with this map can now be relied on by the commission, by the board, with respect to it being accurate, and there's no sort of discrepancies between the two. Since that time, I received an email, which I assume the board did as well, about 3:30 this afternoon, questioning another aspect of this map, which, I kind of expressed a little bit of displeasure to Lynn on it. I know she's busy, but this has been in front of their office for a good period of time now. And I didn't remember, there wasn't any mention of this at the hearing last month, that there was at least another error that could be on the map itself. I did talk to her about it. And essentially what I said was that, regardless of whether she thinks there's some sort of error in the top of the map, it wouldn't change necessarily the amount of coverage that we're requesting. We're requesting 2,910 square feet. We're moving from 2,956 square feet, so we're going down in coverage. And we believe that the board has the ability to approve this map the way it is, with the variance being granted at 2,910 square feet. The biggest item, I think, in what she sent you was the building coverage, the way it's being calculated with respect to the 24 inches that comes off an awning. And why I say I don't think it matters in this case, because I think the worst case scenario, is that the coverage goes down from 2,910 square feet. I don't know that for sure, but that would be my guess, because even if it wasn't calculated correctly, what she's actually saying here is that the 24 inches that he says in this top number here that exceed 24 feet of the portion, that would be over the deck anyway, or over any porch anyway. So if it's over that area anyway, and you're not counting the first 10 feet of a porch, then technically your coverage should go down. I had that conversation with her as well today. And she's not on the call now, so I'm not gonna, we talked at length about it. But that's not a part of this hearing, honestly, so I don't want to make it necessarily part of the hearing. But it would be our position that even if she was correct in her analysis, that the actual building coverage, if anything, should go down, or is more than not likely to go down. I should say that, because I don't know that. So we're still here this evening. This is our third month, actually, because we were put off the first month for scheduling purposes. And we would like to move forward with this variance this evening. But obviously, I'm here to answer any questions of the board. I want the whole thing with this application, and we said it last month, and my client said it last month as well, is that the entire time that we were doing this project, the client thought he was doing everything within the regulations. And we don't want there to be any thought, whether it's from this board, whether it's from the town offices or anything, that we're trying to get away with something in any way, shape, or form. And my client's been very consistent with that, and I want to make sure that I put that on the record as well. So even though I'm making the position that we should that I would like it approved this evening. If there's still questions from this board that they feel like we need to go back and review again, then obviously we'll do that. We won't be happy about it per se, but I do want to put that on the record with this board as well, because it's more important for my client and for myself as a firm to be sure that the board knows that we are dealing, you know, as in the most utmost manner with this board and what they're here to do. So I'm here to answer any questions about the either where we've been already with this particular with this particular matter, or anything that was in the 330 memo or 327 memo to the board.
Attorney Rucci, it's John Mahoney. Could you just refresh my memory on what was removed that creates the, I think, 46 square foot reduction in coverage? And then could you walk us through an example of what you and Lynn, what you just went through with the 24 inches? Pick one of these, pick one of the items that just so I'm clear on it.
Sure.
Because honestly, it came, the memo came through in the middle of my day and I haven't had a chance to really analyze what she's suggesting. So that would be helpful to me.
Sure, I understand. So as far as the 46 square feet that was removed from the original part of this is, if you recall, what ended up happening in 2016 to 18 was they changed all the regulations with how you counted coverage for porches and decks, and also for overhangs. So that was what essentially put us way over to begin with, is that we had these decks, we had these porches and already on the property. And so those actually, instead of having 2,522 square feet, we actually were way up around almost 3,000 square feet when we redid it after the zoning reg went into place. So what the applicant did at the time when he found this out was he said, listen, I'm going to raise the grade in certain areas of the property. And by raising the grade, you no longer had that 36 inches of patio that would count towards coverage. So he essentially got rid of coverage by raising the grade.
Okay.
So, and that's kind of how he got to the point he was able to lower it a little bit from that 2956 number. So that's how we got to there. Now, for a good example, and would be sort of the covered wood deck here. So, well, actually, no, it's not, because the covered wood deck counts anyway, because it's above. But if you looked at the stone terrace on the other end, on the right down, I'm pointing to it, like Sarah can see it. Thank you, right there. Okay, so the way that you would measure this stone terrace would be as follows. You would get to the first 10 feet of that. Well, first of all, if there was an overhang on the stone terrace, the first 24 inches of that overhang don't count, okay, towards coverage on the overhang. So if you had a 46-inch overhang, the additional 20 plus inches would count towards it. On the stone terrace, you don't count the first 10 feet of the deck either. So what ends up happening is that the first 10 feet of the stone terrace would not be counted for coverage, but everything beyond it would, including the length of it. So in that particular case, I believe that stone terrace is somewhere around 14. If you look at just the line where it says still 30435, that line is about 12 feet from the back staircase to the edge there. That's 12 feet. So what you would do is you would say, all right, the first 10 feet I don't count, but then you take the remaining 2 feet plus the area that goes from the word terrace to the edge, and you would count that and the length as coverage. Our surveyor is saying, listen, he did it that way. That's what he did. He got rid of the 10 feet, and he also counted, and he didn't count anything with the first 24 inches. What Lynn thinks, I believe, and this is what we talked a little about today, is that she actually thinks that he didn't calculate it right, that he actually should have taken, there should have been more area that he could have taken off for coverage. And she says that because he says on his, in the top of his building coverage analysis, that that portion of the chimney and roof overhang and stoop that exceed 24 inches, and that portion of the terrace that exceeds 10 feet. That means what he's saying is that The coverage includes everything but that.
Okay.
So what she's saying is that she thinks that he may have miscalculated, that it actually may be lower coverage based on what she says here, because she says that she thinks that the word stoop, he might have not referred to as a porch or a deck. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say to that at this time. I mean, you know, if we were told that last month, I think we could have gotten it resolved one way or the other.
But is it fair to say that you and Lynn are in agreement that if things were clear, it would result in a lower coverage than the 2910 or a higher coverage?
We believe a lower coverage, but we both would say, who knows? You know, like we can't absolutely say that for fact, but we think that maybe it's a lower, we think that maybe it would be a lower coverage. And she can say that. I mean, I said, well, will you say that at the hearing tonight? You know, that you think it might be a lower coverage. And she said, well, I mean, I could say it might be a lower coverage, but like I said, I shouldn't be telling you a conversation I had with Lynn off, you know, kind of amongst. So you have to sort of either listen to me, or maybe, you know, if Sarah's was brought up to date, she may have some ability to respond to it as well. I don't want to speak for Lynn, and I don't want to say anything that she may think I was, you know, saying something that I misheard her or something. So, but we kind of concluded, we're like, because I said to her, I go, well, if you did all that, I go, it looks like it would actually be less. She's like, yeah, it very likely could be less.
Her concern is just that it was still a little unclear. Is that it? It's not that it would be over, but that it's just unclear. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
and I think to her, in her defense, you know, she's seen a number of maps from this surveyor. She's seen a number of maps that have been miscalculated, as, by the way, has my client, and my client is upset about it as anybody else, either here this evening or Lynn herself. So I think that Lynn definitely calls into question whatever's on this map from this particular surveyor. And all we can do is say, well, this is what the surveyor has given us. This is what we have to rely on as our client and our applicant. And I can only go by what he's telling me. I mean, I'm not a surveyor. I didn't do the measuring. So that's the way, sort of, you know, and I said the same thing to Lynn. I said, you know, we can only rely on, she's like, well, you know, there was a map from this date and that date. And I go, I totally understand that all these maps came in. There was problems with all of them. If you look back at one of, you know, the surveyor told us they were wrong. He wrote it in a lemma. I was wrong about this. I was wrong about that. I was wrong about this. And, you know, we've submitted that to the board as well. And, you know, he's been a surveyor for 37 years. I mean, you know, he's obviously had, I don't know how often he's done work in New Canaan. I've worked with him once before on something else. And, you know, I don't know if he didn't know the rule, if he didn't understand the rule, but in the past, but all I know is that, you know, it's not like it's some new surveyor that's never done a survey before. The guy's been around for a long period of time.
I would add for the committee, this is Dave Johns, that he was the original surveyor on the house. That's how we didn't select him for this project. He did the original work. Therefore, we said, hey, that will be good to stay with the surveyor that did the original work. And we thought that would have been the right way to go. At this point, though, we're relying on his seal and his attestation that this is accurate.
Thank you for filling me in.
So I don't really have much more. I mean, unless you want to go through the entire presentation again, I can do that, Chairman Edmonds, or.
Well, I mean, just remind me, I know it was because of the, we're trying to, because of the pool equipment, correct? Just quickly, what, wasn't it the pool equipment? Is that what it was?
Right, so initially what happened was, it was the covered wood deck, which is on, which is sort of highlighted a little bit in greenish blue here. And what happened was, we had the pool equipment in that particular area. The applicant decided, you know what, we should put a deck here, and we can also have the benefit of covering this pool equipment so that our neighbors won't see it, so that, you know, it can be in a spot that won't be as noisy. And one of the rationales behind that was because they couldn't put it back in the corner. There's one of the presentations shows in the corner, there's a bunch of drainage in the corners that they put in when they did grading work. Yeah, right back in that area. And one of the maps in the presentation shows where that is. And that was done actually by the prior owner, not by us. And also we wanted to move it as far away as we can from, and there's also a topography that goes down in that area that flows basically from South Avenue down the hill there. So topography was not great. There was drainage in that area, and we had some really nice plantings over there too that we were able to install. So we were able to kind of hide this pool equipment, and it just seemed to be a win-win for everybody to do that. And it also provided a nice little deck off the kitchen as well. So, you know, it worked to everyone's advantage at that particular time. And so our hardship that we're bringing to this board today is that due to the topography, due to the drainage all on that side of the property, this was the best place to put it.
And the homeowner doesn't have any plans to do any more work, or I should ask.
No, and obviously, you know, this property is maxed out. I mean, it's over coverage by a lot, and not necessarily because of this project, but just because of what happened with the zoning reg change. So there's nothing that can be done outside this foundation without coming back to this board again. And, you know, my guess is that they would be hard pressed to get another variance unless it was something that was, you know, extremely something that was extreme to another particular applicant or even to this one.
Okay, this is Rich Carrito. I think the major concern last time was just getting the survey correct. We didn't want to approve something and have something go in the file that wasn't correct.
That's correct.
This is Jessica Carden. I understand the point at this point that we need to be relying on 37 years of experience doing the survey. It's a professional paid for survey. It makes sense to have used a prior surveyor, thinking that might actually streamline and make the process easier. I think we had gone through a number of reasons last month why it seemed like the position of the pool equipment was the right spot based on some of the issues running with the land. And while there might be some uneasiness expressed, I am not a surveyor. I'm going to trust the survey that has been presented based on the professional experience.
I don't have anything more, Chairman Emmons, unless you want me to go through any of the other plans or pictures or presentation that we did last month. I think you're on mute, Laura.
Does the board have any more questions about anything else that Lynn had written on the memo? Everyone?
No.
Okay. All right, so you said you're all set. Anything else you wanted to finish up with? I mean,
thank you for, letting us come back and make that correction. And, we appreciate the time you guys have put into it. And we understand that both this board and the town planner has been through a lot with this particular application, as has our clients. We thank you for your time tonight.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of this variance? Is there anyone here else that would speak against this variance? Okay, we're ready to go into business session. Does the board have a discussion? Are we ready to make a motion?
I'm ready to make a motion, Laura, that we,
You know what, could you hold on one second? Sarah, could you take the map down so we could see everyone? Thank you. Thanks, Sarah. Okay, go
John
ahead.
Mahoney,
Sorry.
I move that we approve the variance as requested.
Sorry, Lynn is about to join. She would like to say something if that's still allowed.
I don't know. We are in the business section. I think she may have just missed it.
Okay. All right.
Well, we're in the middle of making a motion, so.
Okay.
All right, I would move that we approve the variance as granted. The hardship is prior errors in coverage calculation through no fault of the applicant. And I guess that would be it. I don't think we have a typical hardship here. Right, I don't know that there's a hardship for topography particularly. I mean, it is a sloping site, but I think the applicant unfortunately inherited some bad calculations. And I would also say they are, I would add in addition that they are reducing the nonconformity by 46 feet.
Okay. Yeah, rich character. I would second that motion to approve. I do put a little credence on the, the land sloping in the back and being a little familiar with pool equipment. It'd be tougher to, to get the equipment, back there. So I think it's in the appropriate place. And so, I would second to approve the variance.
Okay, let's go into voting. John,
Mahoney in favor?
Cynthia,
Dull in favor.
Jessica,
Hardin in favor.
Rich,
Rich Carrier in favor.
and Edmonds in favor. Okay, your variance is granted.
Thank you.
Thank
all
you.
Thank
for your
you.
time and consideration. Appreciate it.
Thank you for taking the time to address our concerns.
Yeah, I know that was hard.
And I appreciate all your good questions and support.
Okay, thank you.
That's all.
Okay, I believe that our second continuation was withdrawn. Is that correct, Lynn? Welcome, Lynn. You're
I'm muted.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Yes, they sent an email at 3:56 p.m. today with their application. They've reduced some of what they were going to do so that they fall under the regulations and can accomplish what they want under a zoning permit.
Okay, all
Awesome.
right. So should we go through our minutes?
Sure. Do you guys have comments on the minutes?
I have one comment. This is Cynthia Doe. It mentions that, and I know that all the documentation said 100 Orchard Lane. It should really be Orchard Drive.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Cynthia. Anything else on the minutes? Okay, so should we approve the minutes? All those in favor?
Mahoney in favor.
Edmonds in favor.
Stoll in
Pardon, in
favor.
favor.
Okay, the minutes are approved unanimously. Anything else we need to discuss? Okay, you guys are the best. You are. I really appreciate. I honestly appreciate. I hope I tell you that I want you to know how much I really do appreciate all of you, and you work so hard, and I because of you is why I enjoy being on this board, because of each and every one of you, because you are all so terrific and so thoughtful and so prepared, and just I really appreciate that. So thank you. I couldn't do it without you, honestly. So thank you. And Sarah, thank you tonight. You did a great job.
You did great, Sarah.
Thanks, no problem.
I just
Okay.
want to give everyone advance notice. I'm not going to be able to attend next month. If there
Okay.
is going to be a scheduled meeting, I have a conference for legal industry. So I checked my schedule. I can't even fit in a Zoom, unfortunately. So
Okay. Thank you. You mean you have a real job? This is-
I'm not sure my real job thinks going to this conference is a real job, but that's okay.
What?
It looks like you moved to a stand-up desk.
I'm standing today because I'm trying to multitask with some other things. So, yeah.
Walking that dog and feeding that kid.
It did not distract my focus, but yes.
And Laura, it's Rich, Carrie too. I'm not gonna be able to make next meeting also, so, we should
Okay.
just be alert that you don't have me, so.
Okay, we
hopefully
do
we'll-
have an alternate that will potentially be approved by then. I did get a resume. Kevin Moynihan submitted a resume, and so she may be jumping right on board. So I think we should be okay.
Okay,
I should be there next month, so.
Okay, great, Becky. Thank you.
I'll be here also.
Perfect.
And I think, as far as I can tell, I'll be here as well.
Yeah, I don't know the date. What is it? May something?
May 2nd, I think.
Is it May 2nd? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Months are going by.
Yeah.
They are.
All right. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay. Bye.
Night.